Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Naf Yud Beis, Amud Beis, the fourth line from the top. The Gemara previously discussed the avneit of the Kaihanim. It says explicitly in the Torah, the avneit of the Kohen Gadol during the year is made out of kilayim, wool and linen together. And on Yom Kippurim, it's made out of linen, pure linen. The question is, what is the avneit of the Kohen Hedyot made out of? On that, the Gemara discusses, Ki Osa Rav Dimi Omar, when Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael back to Bovel, he said, Avneitoi shel Kohen Hedyot, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, Chad Amar shel Kilayim v'Chad Amar shel Boots. He says that Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon has a machlokes. What is the avneit of the Kohen Hedyot? One said it's made out of kilayim, just as the Kohen Gadol's, and one says made out of boots. Chad Amar shel kilayim, v'chad Amar shel boots. Tistayim the Rabbi who the Amar shel kilayim. Let us conclude that Rabbi is the opinion that the Kohen Hedyot avneit is made out of kilayim, wool and linen together. The Tanya, for it says in the following brayso, Ein bein Kohen Gadol le Kohen Hedyot el avneit. Div Rabbi says there's no difference between the two, the Kohen Hedyot and the Kohen Gadol, other than the avneit. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, oimer af loy avneit. Even in this, there's not a difference. The Gemara then explores to determine what is the proof. Eimas, when are we talking about? Inema b'shaya mois hashono. If we're talking throughout the rest of the year, then tuva ika. There's many differences. Kohen Gadol mishamish v'shmoina v'hedyot ba'arbo. The Kohen Gadol wears 8 big day kahuna, whereas the Kohen Hedyot only wears 4. Elolav b'Yom Kippurim. We must be talking about Yom Kippurim itself, and that's what it means that the avneit of the Kohen Gadol is different than the avneit of the Kohen Hedyot. That means to say that the avneit of the Kohen Gadol is boots, whereas the avneit of the Kohen Hedyot is kilayim. Omrei, they said, Loi, you have no proof, because lo oilam b'shaya mois hashona ubahanach dishavin. Over here, we're talking about when we say that indeed there is no difference between the Kohen Gadol's and the Kohen Hedyot other than avneit. It could be talking about the rest of the year, because we're only referring to those 4 begadim that they have in common. On that, we can say there's a difference, and then it would be the opposite. During the year, the avneit of the Kohen Gadol was made out of shatnes, wool and linen together, whereas the avneit of the Kohen Hedyot was made out of boots. Says the Gemara, Ki Osa Ravin, when Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael back to Bovel, Omar, he said, Avneitoi shel Kohen Gadol b'Yom HaKippurim divrei kol shel boots. The avneit of the Kohen Gadol, everybody agrees that on Yom Kippurim it's made out of pure linen. B'shar Yemos Hashona divrei kol shel kilayim. And everybody agrees that the Kohen Gadol's avneit during the rest of the year is made out of wool and linen together. Lo nechleku ela be'avneito shel Kohen Hedyot bein b'shar Yemos Hashona bein Yom HaKippurim. The machlokes is only in regards to the Kohen Hedyot's sash, his avneit, what it's like both during the rest of the year and what it's like on Yom Kippurim. She'ebi oimer shel kilayim. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon oimer shel boots. Rabbi says that it's made out of kilayim, whereas Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says it's made out of, Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon says it's made out of boots. Omer Rav Nachem bar Yitzchok af ananami tanino. He said we can also then prove from the following brayso that Rabbi is the one who holds that it is made out of kilayim. As follows. The brayso now says, the posuk that I'm going to quote, it says al besor. The posuk says, "V'lovash hakohen midoy bad u'michnei ze bad yilbash abesaroi." The kohen, he wears the ksoines and he wears the michnesayim on his flesh. The posuk goes on to say, "V'heri mesadeshin asher toichal ha'esh es ha'oila al mizbech v'somer eitz al mizbech." And then he picks up the deshin, the ashes. Says the Gemara, al besaroi. The Pasuk already stated in the ratio, V'lovash hakohen Midoi bad umichne bad. Why does they add now yilbash al besaroi? The extra yilbash lechara is superfluous. Ask the Brisa. Says the Brisa lahavi mitznefes va'avneit laharamas hadeshin divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says rather it comes to include that he should be also, when he does the haramas hadeshin, he should also then wear not only those two begadim, but it comes to include the other two begadim, namely the mitznefes and the avneit. Rabbi Doisa oimer lahavi big day koyen gadol b'yom kippurim shein kshein lekayin hedyot. Rabbi Doisa, he says, what is Yilbash coming to teach me? That the kohen gadol's dalid begadim that he wore, the linen begadim that he wore on Yom Kippurim, although he cannot wear it again after Yom Kippurim, but a kohen hedya can, yes, wear it again during the rest of the year. The Gemara says, Rabbi Oimer shtei tshuvois badavar. And this is where we're going to then bring how we see that Rabbi holds that the kohen hedyot's avneit is made out of kilayim. Because he says as follows, there's two different questions on what you just said, Rabbi Doisa. Chada, first of all, the avneitoi shel kohen gadol b'yom kippurim loy zehu avneitoi shel kohen hedyot. It's a different avneit. The avneit that the kohen gadol wears on Yom Kippurim is namely boots. It's pure linen, and the avneit that the kohen hedyot wears the rest of the year is kilayim. So that's one rebuttal. So it can't be that they're going to wear the same beged afterwards. Secondly, he also argues against Rabbi Doisa and says, "Va'oid begadin shenishtamshiso bohen kedusha chamuro teshamish bohen kedusha kala." The kohen gadol wore these dalid big day kuhuna on Yom Kippurim when he did the avodas hapnim, namely he was in the base in Mikdash in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. That same dalid big day kuna cannot be marid in Bakodesh and be used for other services for the rest of the year. So therefore it cannot be, like Rabbi Doisa is saying, that after the Kohen Gadol wears those dalid begadim on Yom Kippurim, a Kohen Hedyot can wear them for the rest of the year. Elo matamu lomer yilbash. So what does then the pasuk come to add when it adds the word yilbash, what seems to be superfluous? Rabbi says ashchokin. Rabbi says it comes to add that a Kohen Hedyot can wear those begadim that are even worn out, those dalid begadim, and therefore they can't be torn, they can't be ripped with holes in it, but they can be worn a little bit, and therefore that's still permissible. The Gemara just points out, Va'oz the Rabbi Doisa the time, Rabbi Doisa who just said that a Kohen Hedyot can wear the same dalid begadim that the Kohen Gadol wore on Yom Kippurim. That goes according to his reasoning. The Tanya, it says in the pasuk, the Brisa quotes, it says the pasuk Uba Aaron el oil moyed. He's talking about on the avodas Yom Kippurim. Aaron came to the oil moyed poshet as big day habad. He took off the linen garments. Asher lovash bevoy el hakodesh vehinicham shom, and adds in the end of the verse, and he vehinicham shom, he left them there. Milamed shetuunin geniza. The Tanna Kama says it comes to teach me that they must be permanently stored away. Rabbi Doisa argues and he says, Shelo yishtamish ben Yom Kippurim acher. When it says v'inicham shom, teaches me that they're not to be used for any additional avodah hakohanim on Yom Kippurim. And therefore, however, he learned l'shitaso, they could, yes, be used by a kohen hedyot during the rest of the year. Tonu Rabban, the Gemara brings a brisa in regards to the kohen gadol on Yom Kippurim who finds a psul and is replaced by a new kohen gadol. Tonu Rabbanon, a rabo psul umino acher tachtov. The kohen gadol who is designated to do the avodah Yom Kippurim finds a psul that he sees carry, and now he cannot do the avodah. He's poised for entering the mikdash, and he's supposed to do the avodah. So we have to then give another kohen gadol in his place. So it states in this brisa, Rishon choizer la'avoidosoi, sheni kol mitzvahs kuno gedola alov. Divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says that when the original kohen gadol then gets tohor again, he can then go ahead and do his avodah as he did in the past. And the second kohen gadol, subsequently, who then filled his place on Yom Kippurim, he does not choizer. He He according to Rabbi Meir has the same mitzvahs of the Kohen Gadol, namely that he can only marry an almana, he can only do the avodah with the 8 big day kahuna, and other things. Rabbi Yossi Omer Rishon Choizel Avodah Sheni Eino Roy Loy LeKohen Gadol Loy Kohen Hedyot. He argues, Rabbi Yossi, and he says the Rishon, when he then gets tahor again, he goes back to his avodah as a Kohen Gadol. The Sheni, however, he does not do the avodah not as the Kohen Gadol and not as the Kohen Hedyot. The Gemara explains. Rabbi Yossi Maise be Yosef ben Elim Bitzipari. There was a Maisa in regards to Yosef ben Elim in the city of Tzipari. She'era by psul be Kohen Gadol minuv tachtov. The Kohen Gadol, who was designated as Kohen Gadol, became pasul, and they then appointed Rabbi Yosef ben Elim to be the Kohen Gadol in his place. The original Kohen Gadol, when he becomes Torah again, goes back to doing his avodah, whereas the Sheni, he does not do the avodah, not as Kohen Gadol, not as Kohen Hedyot. Those are what the Maisa tells, and that's how Rabbi Yossi paskind. Kohen Gadol mishum Eva. The Gemara explains now why. The Kohen Gadol, he doesn't do the avodah because of Eva. He doesn't want there to be hatred between the original Kohen Gadol and him. So therefore, the second one cannot do the avodah as a Kohen Gadol. There shouldn't be any tacharus, any competition. Kohen Hedyot mishum ma'ilin b'kodesh v'lo hamaridin. He can't do the avodah of a Kohen Hedyot because he can't do as a Kohen Hedyot when he was doing avodah as a Kohen Gadol. It will be considered maridin b'kodesh. Omar Rabbi Bar Chana Rabbi Yochanan, on top of Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, halacha Rabbi Yossi. The halacha is indeed like Rabbi Yossi. Again, the first original Kohen Gadol became posel. When he comes Tohor again, he goes back to his avodah. The second Kohen Gadol who replaced him, he neither can do the avodah as the Kohen Gadol nor the avodah of a Kohen Hedyot. Umoide Rabbi Yossi, however, Rabbi Yossi agrees she'im ovar v'ovad avodah zakshero. If b'di eved he did the avodah as Kohen Gadol, then the avodah is kosher. Of course, he can't do the avodah with big day Kohen Hedyot and do the avodah as a Kohen Hedyot. That's certainly where he posel. But if he does the avodah as a Kohen Gadol with 8 big day kahuna, then that's going to be b'di'evet kosher. Om Rav Yehuda Marav halacha Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yehuda Marav also said halacha like Rabbi Yossi. Umoide Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Yossi, he adds, agrees, she'im meis rishon, she'choyze la'avodaso. If the original Kohen Gadol were to die, then the second Kohen Gadol would be able to replace him. Assuming that this second Kohen Gadol is greater than all of his other Kohanim in Chochmah, and he's roy to be the Kohen Gadol still, then he can go ahead and replace him. Ask the Gemara, Pshita, why not then? Answers the Gemara, Ma'odesema, you might think to say, Hav yoleit sora mechayim. You might think that there'll be a hatred that maybe the first original Kohen Gadol is going to be fearful that the second Kohen Gadol wants him to die, so that he can go ahead and do the avodah, whereby the Chacham did not allow the second Kohen Gadol to do the avodah subsequently. Kamash malan, that's not the case. We allow the second Kohen Gadol to be choizer la'avodasoy.